Welcome to us for our session at Goat Sports. My name is Adrian Skepi, and together with me today I have Martin Strante.
Welcome to today's session. Today we're going to dive into functional training and what that all means. So it's a broad subject, but we're going to try to narrow it down and see what we can get from it.
I believe that functional fitness or functional training is something that is really broad, very highly interpreted from different people. I know this when I talk to clients, I know this when I talk just to people randomly, but even amongst other coaches. It's like everyone has their own take on what functional fitness actually is. So to kind of clear things out, what's your take on functional fitness?
You have your lifestyle and you want to excel in that lifestyle, and then you look at, okay, what do I need for requirements for this lifestyle? And then that training that helps your lifestyle is actually functional. So if you're a tennis player, there might be some exercises, some kind of training that helps you become more functional in that. Or if you're a person that has kids and you need to be running around, picking them up from school, preparing food, then you maybe have some exercises and some training that helps you support in this. So functional training goes more to yourself and what the requirements you want and what you expect from life.
Well, we work together.
Yep.
And I believe that your take on it is extremely similar to mine. And we have something that we talk about in our educations, where I was going to lift up two things. If you help me explain them to the people. The first one is what we call universal truths. And the other one is putting things, whatever that may be, into context. So just lightly about like universal truths.
Exactly. So some universal truths are, if let's say you exercise, you need to rest to get the adaptations, you need to get the results. So you have to rest. One part of that is sleeping, and the other part is that if you want to get results, you have to actually have to work out. So you have to do something tough. You actually have to do something challenging to adapt. So your body, okay, something's happened and I need to move forward.
And why we call it universal truth is that implies to you, it applies to me, it applies to everyone at home, it applies to the laws of physics and so on. And putting things into context, that one's maybe a little bit more.
Exactly. So let's say functional training and you want to put something in context. And some people might say that a machine exercise might not be functional. But let's say you just had a surgery and you're trying to recover and rehab from maybe a knee surgery. They may be sitting in a leg extension machine and working on your muscles. It's very functional because that is what it requires. So that can be putting into context that.
It becomes so broad, and once you realize that, because you said something about if you have two kids at home, that has certain requirements depending on the kid's age, how they play, what they have for extra school activities, and so on. So
you're like a full-time athlete.
Full-time athlete just by having kids. So, well, I'm taking an example now. People talk about muscle soreness. And if I don't get muscle soreness, I haven't worked out correctly. And when we're talking about functional training, it's like sometimes muscles like don't get sore because we're using maybe more muscles and so on. It kind of all falls back to knowledge. Understanding, knowing more, and using that as some sort of experience and what I need to do. And think about that in order to get these results, I need these preparations. I need to understand why I'm doing an exercise. I need to understand the difference and why is this good for me here and now, and when do I need to kind of level it up? And that sounds a little bit abstract, so let me put it into a context for myself from a personal note, and don't laugh too much. I went bowling with the family.
Nice.
Yes. Don't ask about the results or anything, but I went bowling. And I've seen bowling on TV. I've seen it on the internet, and you know, they have that whole thing. They blow their fingers. They do that look. When you throw it, the arm goes really far. The other leg goes really. You know, so
You try to curve it and everything, and
I did everything. In my head, I was professional.
You went all in, and you were like,
Oh, that was it. You know, no more. Anyway, the day after, I had the weirdest muscle soreness. It was from the right side down to the left, and I felt that, okay, something's wrong. And it falls back to me understanding, okay, where am I? How often have I bowled? Okay, it's not often. What should I have thought about? Well, maybe I needed to stretch a little bit. Well, definitely I needed to stretch a little bit. Maybe I need to warm up a little bit. Maybe I need to start throwing not too hard.
Kind of more easing into it.
Exactly. And I think people need to understand, like, whatever they're doing, whatever goals they're taking, they need to see that, you know, you can't just look at something on TV and go, okay, I can do that.
Yep.
You still, like, you can have that as a goal, like, I want to do that. Perfect. But then I need to understand that, okay, in order for me to do this, I need maybe this kind of
especially if you've never done anything before.
But you know how we are, how I got, it was like, I can do this.
Definitely.
A lot more respect for any professional, any sport. We need to be humble enough to understand that, okay, where am I at? Maybe I am close to being elite. Maybe I'm very far from it. But if I don't put it into context, I'll never know. And if I don't know, it's like my starting point comes from nowhere. So do you have any example of a client where it's been very, well, maybe where you had to change their mind a little bit, what they thought was, this is good for me, because maybe they've seen it somewhere?
Exactly. So one thing is that maybe they've seen some cool and tough exercises, maybe on YouTube, on Instagram. Then they were working on speed, explosiveness, and they're doing very tough things. But then you do maybe a screening or you do a session with them, and then you see that they're not very stable. So some functional training can actually be that you have to go back in the training, work on some stabilization training to get their body stronger, more stable, so they can longer in the forward do the more explosive and hard trainings. So that can be an example. Then maybe you sometimes have to take a step back and do some more easy stuff before you can do the hard stuff.
So technically, you as a coach, me as a coach, we have our two separate clients. We take the same exercise.
Yes.
Well, let's take just like a shoulder press, no matter what you hold, the shoulder press. And for you to say it for that client in that time will be correct. It's a very functional exercise. And even though maybe we agree upon that it's functional, it's actually taking something, putting it at the top shelf, or taking something down. And it seems reasonable that that should be considered functional. But I have a client where I give that exercise and it's wrong. Why would that be?
So let's say the client maybe doesn't have the range of motion to lift their arm straight over the head. Maybe they have an old injury or something. For that person, maybe this exercise actually makes it worse. So for them, it might be not that functional. Maybe just making the injury worse, or it hurts when they do it and they feel kind of, this isn't for me. So some people might, like you said, this is a functional exercise. Everyone should do it. But then someone who has that history, maybe can't do it. And it's like, but that's not right. So
kind of taking the whole thing and like putting it into something that our viewers can just like understand. And what would those kind of key words or topics be that they need to take with them from today?
So as long as the exercise has a purpose and you feel that you're actually getting the results you want, I mean, the exercise and the type of training is functional for you. So just like we said, for someone it might be working perfectly good, and for someone it might not be. But for me, it's working really good. So I would say functional training is like exercises has a purpose for you and you're getting the results you want and it makes you feel good.
Perfect. What a way to summarize it. Martin, it's always been a pleasure to speak with you and discuss these topics. And for our viewers at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, take care.